I had my first spiritual awakening in December 2015, and from my experience, there are 8 distinct stages of spiritual awakening, each with its own unique energy and vibe. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what stage you are in. Stage 1, the unconscious. You might be wondering why I put the unconscious as part of the awakening process. Isn't this about spiritual awakening? Let me tell you why. First, I believe that everyone is on their path to spiritual awakening. Yes, everyone. It doesn't matter if people are aware or not, or whether they are indifferent to spirituality or not. Everyone has a spirit, and their spirit is nudging them in the direction of spiritual awakening, even if they are not listening. The second reason, which is more important, is that even though that we might have spiritually awakened, we do come back to this unconscious stage from time to time. There will be times we forget about the spiritual perspective and our ego takes over again. The good news is, when someone has an awakening experience, they usually don't stay in the unconscious state for too long, because it's so apparent and obvious to be out of alignment, so we often step out of it quite quickly within hours or days. There are 2 distinct vibes for this stage. The first vibe is you feel like a victim. You blame people, you blame the world for things happening to you. You're very reactive to the circumstances in the world. You are operating mostly from the ego, and life is hard. Most of you watching this video though are more likely to experience the second vibe, which is a vibe of wanting to improve yourself. There is nothing wrong with personal development. I love growing myself too. But if you find yourself that you are very obsessed with 1 or 2 particular areas of your life, such as your wealth, career, health, relationship, or even spirituality, and you ignore the rest, this is a sign that you might be unconscious. Your ego is gripping 1 or 2 aspects of your life tightly as a means to build its identity and tell its story from. Like in my case, I have had low self-esteem since I was young. I was quiet and introverted, and I didn't feel like I belonged in school. I was mostly in victim mode. Then when I came out to work, I focused on personal development and career, and it's great because I became more confident. My issue with low self-esteem were gone, or so I thought. I was reading a lot of books, but there is one section in the library that I don't visit, which is the religion and the spirituality section. So even though I was feeling somewhat better, I was still unconscious. I wasn't in touch with the spiritual component of my life. Stage 2, the trigger. More often than not, there is something in your life that triggers you to spiritual awakening. It's either your spirit sees there's an opening or an opportunity for spiritual awakening, and it brings you a series of events to accelerate your awakening. Or your egos lead you down a path of destruction, which eventually awakens you. Many people are awakened because there are major changes in their life. Something we unplanned for disrupted our life. For example, you lose your job, your relationship ended, you lose your money, you have an accident or a disease. It's usually when we lose those things that we are obsessed with in stage 1, or the areas we have neglected, like our health, which suddenly becomes problematic and are brought into focus, and we have no choice but to pay attention to them. The triggers can also be a newfound interest in spirituality. A friend recommends you to a spiritual book and you read more on the topic, or you hear that meditation is good for reducing stress, so you do it daily. Then one day you just have a spontaneous awakening. This will be the most preferred path to awakening. No pain, no suffering. But for most of us, our ego grip is so strong, it takes a major event to knock us out of the grip. The vibe here in this stage is that you feel that things are starting to shift, your energy is changing, something deviates from the norm. Your stability is in question and it's unsettling. In my previous videos, I shared how I left my job as an accountant and animator, and my ego didn't have anything to hold on to. But that was just the initial trigger. It wasn't the only trigger. In this stage, we usually experience a series of triggers. What I didn't share in the previous video, but was mentioned in my book, The Emotional Gift, is that someone promised me a job, but it didn't get through. I networked with an entrepreneur and it opened a past wound that I had. And now looking back, I'm grateful for all this event because people were like, what's the big deal? If you lose your job, just get another one. But if I grab another job, it will just be my ego desperately grabbing another career so that it can build an identity around it. Then I'll just go back to the stage of unconsciousness and I will never have my spiritual experience and go to this next stage. Stage 3, the dark night of the soul. If your spiritual awakening is spontaneous, you most likely won't experience this stage this early, or you might not experience this stage at all. But for people like me who had a major event that shakes things up in their life, this stage is very common. As the name suggests, this stage is the darkest phase of our awakening process. Your ego needs to drop its grip on you, the identity it has built, the belief that it has kept, but it doesn't want to. Instead, it is resisting this transition. It's holding the identity even tighter now, and you feel trapped in this. On one hand, your spirit is calling you to awakening. Come here, come here, come here, it's better here. On the other hand, your ego doesn't want to go. It keeps telling a story of despair and powerlessness. Oh, my life is ruined, there's no meaning in life anymore, what am I doing here? The vibe here is one of darkness. It's filled with depression, anxiety, and panic attacks. The wound that you have been pushing away in your unconscious state are coming up. Now you have to deal with them and there's no more hiding. And that's why sometimes having a spiritual awakening feels worse than not having it. In my case, I have 2 dark nights. The initial one is intense but short. It only lasts for 2 months. The second one lasts for years, but it wasn't nearly as intense as the first one. So do note that this stage can last for months or even years with different kind of intensity. It depends on the individual and how deep the wound is and how tight the ego is gripping onto it. The best way to tell this stage apart from the other stage is the vibe. The vibe here is very different from the isolation stage, which I'm going to talk about later on. Even though you also don't wish to interact with others and you want to hide from this world, this stage is about healing your wound. In this stage, there's a deep pain you're facing, which isn't found in the isolation stage. The best way to describe this is using the analogy of a caterpillar morphing into a butterfly. You want to hide inside your cocoon, a dark space, and not want others to witness your transformation. Your body parts are disintegrating and new body parts are formed. It's a confusing space for yourself and other people, and so you don't want other people to see it. When you're ready to interact with the world with your new identity, you will burst out of your cocoon as a butterfly, which is the next stage. Stage 4 is the awakening stage. The awakening is a stage where you gain a deeper understanding of your spiritual world. You start having insights and epiphanies. You see things clear now. You are a new you. And you are like, who is this person a month or a week ago? I don't recognize him or her anymore. If I could use one word to describe the vibe of this stage, it's like someone just switched on the lights in your room. Previously, you were living in this practical, tangible reality, and now another perspective, the spiritual perspective, has opened up for you. You don't see this issue or problem you once had in your life the same way. There's a feeling of bliss, connection, love, and joy. Everything seems so much vibrant and alive. Like for me, when I was dealing with my depression in the dark night phase, I went to the neighborhood one day and I just felt a deep connection with nature and I suddenly awoken. My depression just lifted and was gone forever. My ego let go of its grip and I started seeing the energetic side of things. You can watch the video I did on my ego death experience for the full detail, but in short, I just felt the energy of the flower, the trees, the clouds. Everything feels so vibrant to me and I felt so peaceful and I was in awe. As wonderful as this stage is, it doesn't last forever. The awakening process keeps unfolding. And this brings us to the next stage. Stage 5, the exploration. Spiritual exploration is endless. There are many different spiritual practices and paths we can take. Some will be drawn to the new age spirituality like reading the tarot cards, lucid dreaming, astral projection, law of attraction, while others are more interested in the mind, body, and spirit connection. They are drawn to meditation or yoga or perhaps even energy healing. Some are drawn more to spiritual teaching and wisdom and try to understand their experience or apply spirituality to their life, while others are drawn to religious studies or traditional rituals. The vibe in this stage is one of curiosity, fun, and wonder. You want to know more, you want to experience and try things out, you want to see what resonates with you or not. You want to know what you would like to do more or perhaps makes it a daily practice. For me, once I was spiritually awakened, I went to the library and started reading books from Wayne Dyer and Eckhart Tolle. These are authors that my friends previously suggested, but I was indifferent. But after I had my spiritual awakening, I could understand exactly what they say. And in recent years, I dabbled into past life regression, lucid dreaming, and so on. For this stage come in wave. Maybe for a period of time, you're very into tarot card reading, and then the interest dies off. Then you become very interested in crystal, and then the interest dies off too. There's an ebb and flow like wave you experience in this stage. Stage 6 is the isolation stage. At this stage, you want to be alone. You don't want to talk to anyone, you want to withdraw from the world, you are drawn into introspection and solitude. And this isn't because you are feeling depressed or like anxiety, but your focus is more on your internal world and not the external world. You either like this stage or you don't like it. I feel that this stage is more challenging for an extrovert than an introvert. As an introvert, I love to withdraw from the world for self-reflection and my own sanity. I am used to doing this and being alone, so this stage feels very nice and peaceful to me. Even though I might feel lonely at times, it's not because I'm alone, it's because I felt the disconnection with other people. I felt like they don't understand me, and that's where the loneliness comes about. It's not the solitude. People can feel lonely at this stage, especially if they are used to talking and socializing with people all the time. But the vibe here is mainly one of peace, like everything is alright. There's no need to do that much. Nothing much is happening. You are in your own world away from all the dramas that other people have. It's a very restful state. If the dark night stage is a metamorphosis, then this stage is what I call a hibernation. You gather all your resources and you just rest in your comfortable cave and have a cozy time with yourself. I recently come out of this isolation stage. It lasted for almost like 3 years. At the end of 2019, I feel like withdrawing from the world and being back in myself a little. And just nice at that time, the lockdown happened in 2020. So we are told to stay at home. As an empath, this is great because during the lockdown period, there is some heavy energy going on. People are feeling angry, frustrated, and sad. And the isolation helps to protect myself from the energy. Isolation stage is also great for stabilizing everything you know from a spiritual perspective, and also to stabilize your alignment before you return to the world, which is the next stage. Stage 7 is the integration stage. At this stage, you come out of your shell. There's no need to protect yourself anymore. You're stronger now and more stable in the alignment and connection with Source. You show up more in this world and you want to test your stability. This is the stage where you combine both the spiritual world and the physical world. The vibe of this stage is stability, groundedness, and rootedness. Even if something comes along and you're swayed to a lower vibration, you come back very quickly because you're that rooted in the ground. It will take something very drastic, like another dark night of the soul, to unroot you from the ground. I've seen those big trees in my neighborhood where they got chopped off or sawed off. Their roots are still very deep into the ground. To really get the tree out completely, they will have to destroy the whole ground. This is how rooted the trees are in the ground. Currently, I'm in this stage, And I've been here multiple times. Like I went unconscious and then I came back. I went to the dark night and then I came back. I returned to the isolation stage and then I came back. Each time you come back, you receive more insight, you get stronger, your roots get deeper. You embody and integrate the spiritual wisdom and energy into your life more. Stage 8 is the calling stage. For this last stage, I was actually thinking whether I should call it the calling or the contribution stage. In the end, I chose the calling because I don't want you to think that this stage is just about helping other people and contributing to the world. Yes, for most people that might be the case, but for others, they might be contributing in a way that might not appear to be a contribution. For example, an artist, they might create a great art piece that inspires others or resonate deeply with other people's soul. Or someone like a songwriter, they write songs that help people be in touch with their emotion. On the surface, they might not appear like they are contributing to the humanity or saving the world, but this is part of their calling and they're still helping people. Oftentimes we think that people who are spiritually awakened will do something to help the world, to save the world, but the world doesn't need saving. What the universe wants is diversity. Not everyone who goes through spiritual awakening will want to be a spiritual teacher like me. There are many different paths that our spirit are called to, and this adds to the whole spiritual dimension, which is one of abundance and variety. The vibe of this stage is feeling inspired and purposeful, unlike the isolation stage, which is more passive. At this stage, you have a drive or an active energy and you want to do more. You have a direction and you are called towards it. You are pulled towards it. This is not to be confused with the stage of unconsciousness. In stage 1, you might have an intention to be more successful in your career and want to earn more money. But this goals comes from your egoic self. When you are in the calling stage, you are called to something bigger than your egoic self. The main difference between the two is in stage 1, you are pushing yourself towards your goal, you are chasing your goal, while in stage 8, you are being pulled towards your goal, you are being called towards your goal. One feels very effortful, like you have to continuously motivate yourself to do things that you need to do, while the others feel effortless. You still need to take action, but it feels like you want to jump out of the bed every morning to do the stuff. You're feeling very excited. When I came out of my first awakening, I had this calling to write books on self-compassion, and I wrote 3 of them. Previously, I was worried about how I could make money out of my writing, where anybody want to read my books. But the calling is so strong that the fear is so insignificant. That is a huge momentum to write, and I write. One important thing to note here is stage 8 is not better than the other stages. I arrange it in this way because this is how my spiritual awakening journeys unfold. You may experience these stages in a totally different order, or you may not even experience a few of these stages. You may also experience 2 or more stages simultaneously. We bounce from stage to stage 2. Sometimes we feel compelled to help others, while other times there's a stronger desire to isolate ourselves from others. There will be times when we're stuck in unconsciousness, experiencing contrast as we peel off layers and layers of our egoic self. No matter what stage you are in, know that the awakening process is a series of awakening and unfoldment. There is no right or wrong order to these stages. Everyone's spiritual journey is different. Now it's your turn. You can let me know what stage you are in right now in the comment section below. If you want to learn more about my Dark Night of the Soul experience and my ego death experience, watch this video here. And if you want more videos on spirituality, subscribe to my channel here.